Hey everyone, welcome back to the British Accent Podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Emily. And today, we're diving into something super important, especially if you've ever held your tongue in a conversation, just because you thought your English wasn't good enough.
Oh yeah. That fear of making mistakes, sounding awkward, or not being perfect, it stops so many people from speaking at all. And it's heartbreaking because here's the truth, you don't have to be perfect to be understood.
Exactly. I've met learners who know so much, but they freeze up in real conversations because they think they're not ready yet. But what does ready even mean? If you wait for perfection, you might never say a word.
And that's the trap, isn't it? You study, memorize vocabulary, listen to podcasts like this one, but then when it's time to actually speak, that inner critic kicks in and says, wait, don't say that. What if it's wrong?
Yep. That little voice that whispers, they'll laugh at you, or you'll sound stupid. And we get it, we've all had that voice at some point. But the truth is, most people aren't listening for perfect grammar. They're listening to you, your meaning, your energy, your intention.
And honestly, I've had full conversations with people who made all sorts of grammar mistakes, but I still understood exactly what they were trying to say. Their message got across. That's what language is for.
Yes. Communication isn't about impressing people with perfect English. It's about making a connection. Sharing an idea. Asking for help. Telling a story. Laughing with someone. You don't need flawless English to do any of that.
And I think sometimes we forget, even native speakers make mistakes. We pause, we say, we mess up our tenses, we just don't feel ashamed of it because we're used to the language.
Right. So if you're learning English and you hesitate before speaking, ask yourself, is this hesitation helping me? Or is it holding me back from living in English?
And the best part is, every time you speak, even if you stumble, you're training your brain. You're building fluency, confidence, and courage. It's not wasted effort.
Not at all. In fact, every mistake is proof that you're trying. That you're brave enough to speak up. And that matters so much more than being perfect.
You know, Emily, I remember this one guy I tutored. He was from Brazil, and at first, he barely spoke during our sessions. He kept apologizing for his bad English. But here's the thing, I understood him just fine.
Oh wow. And I bet once he relaxed a bit, he started improving faster, right?
Exactly. Once he realized I wasn't judging him, and that communication was already happening, he just let go of that fear. And within weeks, he was telling jokes, sharing his opinions, like a completely different person.
I love that. I've seen that so many times too. That shift from silence to expression, from self-doubt to wait, maybe I can do this. It's powerful.
And it's not about being fluent, it's about being free. Free to speak even when it's messy. Free to connect without translating everything in your head first.
Yes. And honestly, your accent, your grammar, your pauses, those don't make your message less valuable. You still have something important to say, and people want to hear it.
Exactly. I think we need to normalize imperfect English. Like, let's celebrate people who try. Who speak up even when their voice shakes a little. That takes guts.
Totally. I always say, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's speaking anyway. And that's what language learners do every day. They speak with courage.
So if you're listening and thinking, but what if I make a mistake? We're telling you now, make the mistake. Speak anyway. That's how you grow.
Yes. Your goal isn't to be perfect. Your goal is to be understood. And trust me, people understand more than you think.
Way more. They hear your heart. Your effort. Your energy. That's what stays with them, not your grammar.
You know what I find interesting, Nick? The people who apologize for their English before they even say a full sentence. Like, sorry, my English is bad, and then they go on to speak really well.
Yes. It happens all the time. And I'm like, wait a minute, you just expressed yourself clearly, used a complex sentence, and understood my response. That's not bad English.
Right? I think people underestimate how much they already can do. They focus so much on what they can't do yet, they forget how far they've already come.
Totally. And I get it, language learning is emotional. It brings up stuff like insecurity, fear of judgment, fear of not belonging. That's real.
And a lot of that comes from school, I think. Getting red marks for every grammar error, being told to speak only when you're ready, it makes people feel like they'll be punished for trying.
Yeah, and the truth is, that perfectionist mindset might help in writing an essay, but in real life, it just makes people silent. And language needs sound. It needs mistakes. That's how it lives.
Exactly. You can't think your way to fluency. You have to talk your way there. And that means giving yourself permission to be imperfect on purpose.
I love that, imperfect on purpose. Because that's where growth happens. The real magic is in the speaking, not in waiting until everything sounds perfect in your head.
Yep. And the moment you realize that it's okay to say something wrong, to forget a word, to mix up the tenses, that's when your confidence starts to grow. Not when you're flawless, but when you stop being afraid of flaws.
Honestly, some of the best communicators I've met were learners who spoke with heart. Maybe their English was simple, but their message was clear. And people listened to them. That's what matters.
And I think there's something beautiful about that kind of communication, raw, real, not polished, but full of meaning. You feel the person behind the words.
Yes, that's it. It's not about sounding like a native speaker. It's about sounding like yourself, in English. And that version of you might speak slowly, might pause a lot, might search for words, but it's still you.
That really hits home. Because so many learners think they have to erase parts of themselves to be taken seriously. Like, I need to sound British, or I need to speak fast, or no one will listen.
But those aren't the rules. That's just pressure we absorb from the world. In reality, people connect with honesty, not speed. With authenticity, not perfection.
Exactly. You don't need to fit a mold to be respected. Your voice, your real voice, is enough. Even if it's soft. Even if it's full of hesitations. Even if it's not grammatically correct.
And let's be honest, native speakers mess up all the time. We say things like, I seen it yesterday, or, he don't know, and no one freaks out.
Totally. I mean, we use filler words, mix up structures, trail off mid-sentence, and it's all accepted as normal. So why are learners expected to be flawless?
Exactly. That double standard is so unfair. And I think once you realize that even native speakers are not perfect, it takes some pressure off.
And hopefully, it gives you permission to keep going. To speak, even if your voice trembles. To write, even if the spelling isn't perfect. To try, without waiting to be perfect first.
Because fluency isn't the finish line. It's a process. And every time you speak, even if you stumble, that's a win. That's progress.
You know, sometimes I think about how powerful it is when someone chooses to speak anyway. Even when they're nervous, even when they know they'll make mistakes, they do it anyway. That's bravery.
Absolutely. It's like standing on a stage with shaky knees but still singing your song. Maybe your voice cracks, maybe you forget a line, but the courage to show up is what people remember.
Yes. And you don't always feel brave in the moment. Most of the time you feel awkward, embarrassed, even frustrated. But looking back, you realize how strong you were.
I've had students say things like, I feel so stupid when I speak, and it breaks my heart. Because they are not stupid, they are learning to communicate in a second language. That's an achievement, not a failure.
It really is. And let's be real, monolingual people, like those who only speak one language, rarely understand how hard this is. The effort, the mental energy, the vulnerability.
That's why every attempt matters. Every time you speak up in class, ask a question at work, send a message in English, or even talk to yourself in the mirror, you're rewiring your brain. You're making progress.
Even the quiet steps count. Listening to podcasts, journaling in English, thinking in English as you go about your day, those things build up. They matter, even if no one sees them.
Exactly. And I wish more learners could see themselves the way we see them. As strong, determined, courageous people doing something truly difficult.
Because you are. If you're listening to this right now and still learning, even when it's slow, even when you feel stuck, you are doing something amazing. And we're proud of you.
Deeply proud. And we hope you start feeling proud of yourself too. Not later, not when you're fluent, now.
So, wherever you are on your English journey, beginner, intermediate, advanced, it's okay to speak up, even if you're unsure. Your voice matters. Your words matter. You matter.
Exactly. And remember, progress isn't about sounding like someone else, it's about being more confident in your own voice, step by step. Even with mistakes. Especially with mistakes.
Thanks for spending this time with us. If this episode made you feel seen, or if you're walking away with a little more courage in your heart, we're so glad.
And if you ever forget, you don't have to be perfect to be understood. Just speak. Speak with heart. Speak anyway.
This has been the British Accent Podcast. Until next time, be kind to yourself and keep speaking.